Hi, it's Deb Putnoi here from Boston, Massachusetts in the drawing lab. I'm actually in my studio today and not in the physical space of the drawing lab, but I'm really excited to be here today. I'm sorry I've been off for a while, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today because today we're going to go back to our ABCs of drawing, and I'm going to talk to you today about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is making mistakes. And it's funny because I've been thinking about this one for a while. This is one of the core things that I talk about when I teach drawing is about the power of making mistakes. And the reason that I started the drawing lab to begin with is because whenever I would talk to people and see people, they would say, if I mentioned that I was an artist, they would say, oh my God, I can't draw a straight line. I'm so scared to draw. And they were so scared of making mistakes. And so I decided to really think about that. I was making my own art, and I was also doing some teaching and research, and I was really fascinated with this kind of idea that people, something that was so core to all of us and so human, like such a human thing, which is to draw and to make sense of the world through drawing when we're young, and that when we're kind of not like maybe 6 or 7, we start to be really fearful about making mistakes. So I try to develop a whole course and a whole approach to drawing about the power of mistakes. And so I want to talk to you about that today, but I also want to take a little bit of a step back because I have been scared about getting on and doing lives because I was scared about making mistakes. And so I think it's something that's very present in our lives all the time, is this fear of having to be perfect and look perfect and do things perfect. And I think especially now we don't have this kind of sense that things can be a little bit messy, that things have to, like, I think our kids really struggle with this, and I'm going to talk about that. But I was having my own feeling of like, oh my God, I don't want to do a live because I'm scared about making mistakes. And I don't know if any of you have felt that in your own life about this fear of making mistakes. And I specifically want to talk about drawing and how I use the idea of mistakes with kids and with adults. Right from the beginning, you know, in my rules of drawing, there are no mistakes. And I don't even let people in my classes use any erasers, because I find that when I give someone a pencil with an eraser, the first thing, if I have them draw something, is that they want to start erasing. So they'll draw something and erase it and draw it and erase it. And they're so fearful of getting this perfect idea of what a drawing should be that they're losing sight of kind of this process. And so I cut off all erasers on every, so if a pencil has an eraser, they're not allowed to use it. And to really get at this idea of like, what can you make your mistakes into? So when I start to think about and when I talk about this idea of drawing and the power of drawing, it's, I think what holds so many people back is that they think that drawings have to be perfect, that they have to look like the thing that they're drawing. So if you're drawing a face or a tree or something realistic, like you have to draw that thing perfectly, and that there really isn't a perfect in drawing, and that drawings can be infinite. They can be lines on the page. If you look at a Miro drawing or a Louise Bourgeois drawing, drawings can be lines on a page, marks on the page, and I talk a lot about that. But I also talk about this idea that when you feel like you make a mistake, to think about, and I was going to do a little demo for you of just like me kind of noodling around on the page, but like, how can you make your mistake into a new discovery? So instead of thinking like, oh my God, I made a mistake, I'm horrible, and have that critical voice kind of pounding in our head, which I know like the people that I teach, young or old, whatever age, are always like, oh my God, I just did it wrong, and they want to rip the paper up, or like I said, they want to, I guess I can put this, I don't know if I should hold it, but they want to get rid of their mistake. They're so uncomfortable. And so if you start to kind of play with that idea and think about, like, okay, I feel like I made a mistake, I'm not going to erase it, but how can I use that mistake to get me to a new discovery or a new path? And if we think of some of the greatest artists and scientists, their mistakes became their new discoveries. So what I want you to think about, instead of this idea that mistakes are bad, I want you to make mistakes. I want you to get out there and draw something and then like feel that sensation of like, oh, I didn't do this right. And then think about how you can turn that mistake or that feeling of a mistake into something new, into a new discovery, into a new nuanced line, into a new something that you didn't think that you, that wasn't what you wanted at first. And so like I said, I've worked with so many people from young kids to adults to older people. And this is really like I would say one of the biggest stumbling blocks is this fear inside of making a mistake. So a lot in the classes that I teach is about practicing making mistakes or that feeling of making mistakes. It's almost like when you have a fear of something and then you do like that exposure therapy over and over, you play with bees. I don't know, you do something that you're scared of, and then over time you feel more comfort with it. The same is true with mistakes. It's like, okay, I'm gonna find, and drawing is a great way to do it. It's a great tool, and it's a great catalyst, and that's why I use drawing. Drawing is a very democratic activity. Like we all can have a pencil and paper. I don't even, everyone has a pencil and a piece of like paper. You can get something out of the recycle bin and just draw. You don't need anything fancy to make a drawing, but it's a great way to practice how to be in that uncomfortable space. So I try to use things that are very readily available and then give, you kind of exercises on like how to, to draw something and then to be in that space of discomfort and feeling like what it's like to feel making a mistake on something. And so I want to share one other thing. And I have drawers full. Like I'm in my studio right now, and you can't see. I'd have to kind of angle you down for you to see. But I have a drawer here filled with what I would say are like my quote, maybe mistakes. But what I do with my mistakes is sometimes I might just take something. This is an old print. I might just rip it up and then just use that in another piece somehow. I might like some elements of it. So there's never mistakes. You can always turn your mistake into something new and different, something unexpected. And like I said, I have all these little pieces of just little things that maybe I've done, and like they're not really anything right now, but it's, ripping it up and then seeing what you can use it for. And even if you take a look, this is just my table that I work on. And this isn't even like, I wouldn't say they're mistakes or not mistakes, but just my work table. And so it's kind of beautiful. So I want you to think about mistakes as being something that's beautiful and interesting and that you can work with. And I'm just going to end on this one little thing, and then I would love to know if you've created or drawn something that you felt like you've made a mistake, and then how it felt to kind of resolve that. But I got an email from a teacher today that I worked with maybe 8 years ago, and I was asking her I had asked her previously, like, what are some of the things she remembers about the drawing lab and the drawing lab course and what she still uses in her classroom today. And the thing that she actually brought up, which I think is ironic because I was going on about mistakes today, is that she always uses the teaching about the mistakes at the beginning of her year with her students. So she, I think, teaches 4th grade, and she really tries to bring in the drawing lab approach to help kids understand that mistakes are okay. And that in her teachings, she always kind of uses, there's a bunch of different things that I do, but that mistakes are something to be celebrated and recognized as possible new discoveries. And so I was really excited by the fact that that's still something that she uses with every class that she teaches every year. So that is my little take on making mistakes from our ABCs of drawing. And I will come on. I'm going to try to go through the rest of these over the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to come on every day and try to bang through, because I know that I've been a little bit missing in action. And I think it was really kind of getting back onto the live and worried about making a mistake. So I'm here today that I got through, even, feeling like maybe I didn't do it perfectly. But I would say in life, we have to kind of just get out there and do our life, even if we're fearful of making mistakes. So give it a try today, do a drawing, see what it feels like, and see if you can make a mistake and then just keep pushing through. Okay, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.